He promised 20% returns on a stablecoin. 3 days later, $40 billion was gone, and he fled on a fake passport. Do Kwon called himself the king of algorithmic money, but what he really built was the most devastating financial trap in cryptocurrency history. And the victims, they never saw it coming.
Disgraced cryptocurrency mogul Do Kwon has pleaded guilty in the United States to 2 fraud charges. With the plea deal, Kwon is expected to face
$40 billion. That's more than the entire GDP of Jordan, more than Nike's annual revenue. Gone in 72 hours. But here's what the headlines won't tell you. This wasn't a market crash. This was engineered financial murder, and Do Kwon held the trigger the entire time.
It's hard to believe that only a week ago, Luna was one of the top cryptocurrencies with billions of dollars flowing into it, and all it took was one market down.
Prosecutors said Kwon's deception triggered the entire crypto winter of 2022, but that's just the beginning of this story. Because what happened next reveals the true depth of his deception and how close you came to being his next victim. Picture this. You're scrolling through investment apps, tired of your savings account's pathetic returns. Then you see it. Terraform Labs promising 20% annual yields on something called Terra USD, a stablecoin that never loses value. Your friend made thousands. Your coworker quit his job. The fear of missing out starts eating at you.
Back, I just want to make this video quickly for you guys today, just kind of on the fly over here, to talk quickly about Terra Luna, what my thoughts are, how I think it's going to affect the
financial freedom. That's what they called it. Low risk, they said. 20% returns guaranteed by an algorithmic stablecoin that could never fail. Do Kwon didn't just sell cryptocurrency, he sold dreams. And behind every dream was a carefully constructed lie that would destroy everything you owned. But Do Kwon had a problem. Every legitimate investment promising 20% returns requires 20% profits. Real businesses, real revenue, real value creation. Kwon had none of that. So he built something else entirely. A machine designed to transfer wealth from late investors to early ones. Sound familiar? Here's how the trap worked. And this is the part they don't want you to understand. Terra USD was supposed to maintain a $1 value through an algorithmic mechanism tied to Luna tokens. When demand went up, the system would mint new Terra USD. When demand went down, it would burn Luna tokens to maintain the peg. Genius, right? Internal documents later revealed what Kwon knew all along. The system was fundamentally flawed. It only worked in a bull market, with constant new money flowing in. The moment selling pressure exceeded buying pressure, the entire mechanism would collapse like a house of cards. He knew this. He built it anyway. But Kwon didn't just hide the flaws. He actively mocked anyone who questioned the system. On Twitter, he called skeptics poor and NGMI, not going to make it. He challenged traditional finance, claiming his algorithm was superior to centuries of banking wisdom. His arrogance wasn't just personality, it was marketing. Every time Terra USD lost its dollar peg, the system would mint more Luna tokens to buy it back. But minting more Luna diluted its value, which made Terra USD less stable, which required minting even more Luna. It was financial suicide coded into the blockchain. And then came the moment that changed everything. May 7th, 2022. A large investor, some say it was Kwon himself, began selling massive amounts of Terra USD. The algorithmic mechanism kicked in, minting Luna tokens to maintain the peg. But instead of stabilizing, it triggered the death spiral Kwon had built into his own system. He called himself the king of algorithmic money. He challenged the biggest financial giants in the world and promised financial freedom to millions. But
from $80 to less than $1 in 7 days. Digital toilet paper, they called it. But those numbers don't capture the human devastation.
Retirement funds evaporated. College savings vanished.
A 28-year-old in Singapore jumped from his apartment building after losing his life savings. Do Kwon,
The suicide hotline saw a surge in calls. Online forums filled with stories of financial ruin. $2 million. His entire inheritance.
Connect. Not to mention, UST, their stablecoin, is still depegged. And at this point, I think it's safe to say it's over for Terraform Labs. There's simply no way to reestablish the trust.
While families were losing everything, Do Kwon was busy covering his tracks. As Luna collapsed and Terra USD lost its peg, Kwon maintained the charade on social media. "We're working on a solution," he tweeted. But internal communications tell a different story. 3 days after the collapse began, with $40 billion in investor wealth destroyed, Do Kwon quietly liquidated his own positions and fled South Korea. No warning to investors. No attempt to fix the system he built. Just a one-way ticket and a plan to disappear forever. But here's where the story gets truly disturbing. Kwon didn't just run, he ran with preparation. Fake passports, multiple identities, offshore accounts. This wasn't panic. This was premeditation. He knew the collapse was coming because he designed it to happen. For months, international authorities hunted the man who had destroyed more wealth than some countries produce in a year. Interpol read notices. FBI wanted posters. South Korean prosecutors demanding extradition. Do Kwon had become the most wanted man in cryptocurrency. Because here's what nobody talks about. Catching Do Kwon didn't bring back the $40 billion. The money was gone, scattered across a web of shell companies and offshore accounts that may never be untangled. Justice for cryptocurrency fraud looks very different from justice for traditional financial crimes.
It's hard to believe that only a week ago, Luna was one of the top cryptocurrencies with billions of dollars flowing into it, and all it took was one market downturn to turn this.
After Terra's $40 billion collapse, Do Kwon fleeing from South Korea, losing to the SEC in civil court, and pleading guilty to criminal fraud charges, Do's sentencing is finally here. The judge is set.
He called himself the king of algorithmic money. He challenged the biggest financial giants in the world and promised financial freedom to millions. But in one dark week of...
But here's the question that should terrify you. How many other Do Kwons are out there right now? The cryptocurrency industry that enabled Terra Luna is still running. The same exchanges, the same influencers, the same promises of easy money. And regulatory authorities are still playing catch-up to technology they bear. The victims of Terra Luna will never recover their losses. The families destroyed by Do Kwon's arrogance will never be whole again. And somewhere in the digital frontier of cryptocurrency, the next algorithmic bomb is already being built by the next charismatic sociopath who thinks he's smarter than the system. Do Kwon sits in a federal prison cell. His empire reduced to ashes, and his victims left with nothing but painful memories of the 20% returns that never were. But the system that created him, that system is still out there, waiting for the next dreamer to believe that easy money actually exists.